Hello, young man.
Hello again. How are you?
I'm well.
Look, I'm not usually on time for anything, so
You're on time today.
somebody kept me on track.
See that? It was meant to be.
It sure was.
So
You guys,
Here, that's for you.
for me?
To take, and you
Oh,
get to have the opportunity in the future to come on one of our podcasts.
fantastic.
it's a great opportunity.
I love it. Thank you. We'll have you guys on our podcast. We have
We'd love it.
well, we have this really cool one. So I don't know if you know much about what I do. So I don't just do the mediumship and like my own personal social media stuff. I run a company also that's moving very quietly but coming around. We have a podcast coming out called the Oh Yes It Did podcast. And it's me and two television producers who have worked in the paranormal field for the last 25 years. They have a crazy bunch of, it's how I met them, from doing a show called The Haunting.
Oh, I remember the show.
So I was with Mary Jo Chudley on her episode of
Mary
Haunted
Jo,
Doll.
yes.
So I met a television producer there. She became my writing and producer partner after that. And the way we met was really crazy because all the stuff that I told her about, you'll hear it if you listen to the podcast. Then we were like, oh, I wonder if there's other stories. And we have another friend who does the same thing in television. And she was like, oh, we have tons of great stories. So we're like, let's do a podcast. So we are telling like all these stories from people that not only like the stuff that we watched on TV, but the crew members, the cast members, the directors, the producers, and all the crazy stuff that happened. Because when we filmed like A Haunting, we were at like a bed and breakfast somewhere. We weren't even anywhere near where the paranormal stuff happened. So when I came to and I gave them all this information, they were like, holy cow, this is like really real. And I was like, yeah, this is real stuff
That's
out here.
really cool.
Yeah. So we decided, and then we're gonna have a bunch of people in the paranormal, like your folks, or like you folks, like come on and talk to us about your experiences and what you had happened during investigations. Yeah.
I'm going to tag you here.
All right.
So that's the only reason you have that landing is to hold the mic. So we are running a live. It's on Facebook and YouTube. Our two Facebook pages and YouTube. And I'll break all these apart into individual segments and they can have whatever they want or whatever.
Cool.
But, Shauna has done such an awesome job, and we wanted to help vend. And they're not the biggest vendors, but I'm like, can I do a podcast from there? And she's like, yeah, that would be great. And my idea was I was just going to walk around with a camera and show all the vendors and talk to everybody. And then she sends me this list, and she's like, here you go. And I'm like, what is this? And she's like, you're going to interview all of our speakers. And I'm like, oh my God, what did I do to deserve this? And she's like, I just love you guys, and I want you to have. I'm like, that's amazing, thank you. Because otherwise, I don't get the opportunity to really do this kind of stuff. So I jumped on it, and we love Sean and Danielle. We love everything that they do, and we couldn't come last year. But when I said we're definitely doing this year, put us down for a vendor, whatever, and I would jump over that railing for them right now if they wanted me to. They're good ladies, and I just think the world of them. So
That's nice. I like all their stuff that they're doing. They're with the Das House, trying to restore it or whatever, preserve it at the very least. Yeah, and I walked through there yesterday. There's a lot of really cool stuff happening in there, and I make it a habit of knowing nothing before I go to a place, so that way, like when I walk in, it's fresh. I don't have anybody else's like tainted information or history, and I think I did a pretty good job. They're pretty happy with the stuff that I came up with.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear about all that because I just think it's. We went very early when they opened up, and we had a pretty wild night, but there was too many of us.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was 3 from our team, 2, 4, I think there was 5 or 6 others. So there was almost 10 people in there.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And it was hard. But we had done a 3-person Estes. Somebody was downstairs, somebody was upstairs. And actually, I put Deborah in the closet in the living room behind the fireplace there.
Mm-hmm.
And the guys downstairs never got any answers. Deborah got every single answer. We'd ask a question, and she would get 3 answers.
Wow.
They were only talking to her that night.
Wow.
And we always do multiple Estes, and we've never had that. And the one guy says, I've never heard my headset so quiet.
That's wild.
It was really.
It's a matter. Sometimes I think it's a matter of personality, right? With like people are like, oh, because they sit with me to do readings, and they're like, okay, so I've been to mediums before, and you know, I'll do the reading for them, and like the same 3 people that came through for them at another meeting come through for me. But then I get Grandpa who comes through, and they're like, he never comes through, and I'm like, well, as I'm talking to him, you know, he's a military veteran, and you know, he's like kind of a hard dude, and I think he identifies with me because that's part of my background. So he found a space where he felt comfortable, and he was able to come through and not feel like he felt like he's talking to one of the boys, you know, like, because I understand where he's coming from, so I can get it right for you. That's why he waited. So I think it's really interesting when we have investigators go into places, and like sometimes it's super quiet for me, and the guy next to me is getting it all, and I'm like, I thought I was the one who was the medium here. Were you playing? That's so crazy.
So I'll tell you that I used to be very, very skeptical of mediums because the first couple I met, I could just tell they weren't authentic.
Mm-hmm.
And then I met one that just totally, I don't want to say she scared me, but she found out too much about me very quickly. And I wasn't like open to that.
Right.
And so like a lot of people, I have a lot of trauma in my life and I don't want to share that.
Sure.
Right? And that's my biggest fear is I want to see what I've got or her to see what I've got. And this girl was just like, you were really good, really close to somebody and they died. And she's like, oh, and they died in your arms. And you feel like this. And I'm like, you have to stop. I didn't ask you for this.
Right.
And I don't know, you know, I don't know what I don't know, but I don't think that was right. Right. So if I ask you, okay, and I understand that you could be in a room with 20 people and somebody just comes to you and says, hey, this is what's happening, you know, and I get that. But at that point, is it your job to go and find that person and say, you're going through this?
No, so I try to be as ethical as possible. Something that happens that I have to explain just to the dead as well as the living, like, there's people who are ready for a message and there are people who are not, and you weren't ready that day. And that person who kind of like ambushed you should have made sure by asking you, like, hey, listen, I think I have some information for you. Do you think you'd be willing to listen to me? And I always, if I do that, I say, and if you want me to stop at any point, just tell me you're not going to hurt my feelings. This isn't my message. It's for you from them. I'm in the middle, right? The medium. That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
So I can't say that I've never overstepped, but I've learned because I've ruined a couple engagements, a couple pregnancies by accident, but it was always during times where people were like this. They're sitting in front of me and they're like, okay, what do you got for me? And I just start going, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, and then I'm like, oh, and there's an engagement ring. Did you get it? And they're like, oh, no, I didn't. And I'm like, that's happened. I had a guy call me once after the reading. He was like, bro, you blew the spot. And I was like, dude, I'm so sorry. I thought that she literally had the ring on her finger when I said it. And it was so clear to me. He was like, I'm literally going to ask this weekend. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I apologize. But, you know, it's just one of those things. Like you said, I don't know what I don't know, right?
Yes.
So we have to give people grace on both sides. So I'm sad that happened to you, but I hope that person who gave the message kind of learned that at that moment, like, hey, not everybody's ready for that message.
And I know I was defensive because I'm very protective of my feelings. And like I said, I don't want
We all are, yeah.
I don't want anybody to go through that or relive what, and I don't know like what you see or hear, right? And I'm sure that it depends on every aspect of it, right? But what's in my head, I don't want other people to have to deal with. And so I wasn't being nasty because how dare you step into my boundaries. It's like, I don't want you to live this, right? And right reasons, maybe not the best reaction, but I was getting caught off guard.
Right, and your feelings were being exposed without your permission, which is our internal stuff is supposed to be ours, right?
And I don't know how experienced she was in this either. So, I mean, to me, you're always learning. So I could have handled it better. I mean, I wasn't nasty with her, but I'm like, we're done.
Enough.
Right?
Yeah.
I just think that it can't be all fun and games, right? There's definitely times that you're like, man, this is not cool. I gotta.
So there's been time. So when it comes to mediumship, it's really difficult. Everybody, for anytime, could you wish that you could do this, like actually sit with people and do mediumship?
So I have to tell you that I have no explanation for it. I came home from work one day, and Deborah was with the neighbors, and she's like, "Come over here." And I met this lady that I'd never met before, and I'm not a touchy-feely person. I'm sitting there next to her, and we're just talking. And she starts telling me about her son who was in the military. He came home one day after he got out of the military from work, and he was just walking in the door, and all of a sudden he was dropped dead from a heart attack at 35 years old. And I was like, same exact. I'm like, what? And he had a wife and 2 kids and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, that is horrible. Next thing you know, I'm sitting there, I'm holding this lady's hand, consoling her. Which, okay, cool, but that's not me. And as we're talking, she kept saying, Tony, Tony, Tony. And I looked at her and said, Anthony. She said, what? I said, he doesn't want to be called Tony, he wants to be called Anthony. And she's like, how the hell did you know that? I said, I don't know. It just clicked. And then so we continued to talk, and her daughter was there, and something came out about there's another sister. And I'm like, there's another sister? And she's like, okay, what's going on? And I'm like, I swear to God, I don't know anybody. This is Anthony telling me there's another sister. And then it went into there was a family fight, and everybody thinks that Anthony died being upset. And I have no idea, okay? Like, this went on for 45 minutes to an hour.
Yep.
And when we were done, I was like emotionally wiped out.
Yep.
I went home, and our family room is downstairs. And I was sitting on the floor downstairs. I'm like, I have to call somebody because I don't know what to do with it.
It's so profound, right?
I'm wiped out, but I have all this energy. Like, I could just run through a brick wall.
Yep.
So I started calling all my friends, you know, I'm like, hey, and the group psychic, I got a hold of her, and she was one of the ones I think is a fake, but I got a hold of her. I asked her for her suggestions. She's like, sit on the floor, lowest place in the house. I'm like, that's where I'm at. So you imagine yourself as a tree. You've got roots growing out of your ass into the ground. You're, you know, and so she helped me through all this, and I kind of relaxed. But then over the night times, I would start sleeping, and he would come back into my dreams, and he'd be like, hey, go tell her this. And I'm like, no, no.
I gave your message.
No, it's time to stop.
Yep.
And I have no idea where it came from.
Well, I'll tell you where it comes from. This is something people overlook so often. Why I asked you if you would want that. So would you want that all the time?
I don't think so.
Right, because it's a huge undertaking. Right? It's emotional. It's a lot of things because you're helping process somebody else's grief first off, right? You're being the conduit. You don't know where the information is coming from. And like that, you had a true experience. And I know because you said exactly how I felt for the first 2 years. I was insanely tired after every session, but I would have an exhilaration. And the exhilaration is the thing that made me want to continue going on in that direction. But I felt inside of me that there was no other direction for me to go. It was like my calling. You may not have felt that, but at that moment, the kindness in your heart opened up, and that young man was able to let his mom know that he was okay. So even if it never happened again, that man recognized that you had a capability of being open, and you were able to pass, and you were the right person to do it because you had empathy and sympathy for this woman who you never met. Yeah. But doing all this stuff, the paranormal stuff, you know that we come into places, even if you're not sensitive, respectfully and with compassion and empathy for those people who came before us that we're investigating, right? They're a part of the investigation. We're asking for answers, right? So you were able to facilitate that. And what I tell everybody is medium is a very new agey kind of word, but literally when you think about what I just said, we're just a translator. We're the medium, the person in the middle. They said it. I can hear it and understand it. You can't, but I'm going to do my best to tell you what they're saying, right? So it's like somebody speaking Arabic, maybe I speak Arabic, and I relate to in English. It's not exactly what he said, but that's the idea, right? So you get the idea of what they said, right? So you had a genuine experience, and I think that's really powerful. And anytime you have that emotion come over you, I would say take a minute, take a breath, and see it in that same space if you feel or hear there, and don't doubt yourself. You got to definitely make sure that you are tuned into that spot. And when you're in a place like this, or if you meet somebody new and you're like, what is this information? Write it down. And then gracefully say, is it okay if I talk to you about this? And be surprised how many people will be like, yes, I would love to talk to you about whatever this is. But it's empathy, kindness, sympathy, the building blocks of being a person.
And I think that goes with anything that you're into. If you treat everybody the way that you want to be treated.
That's it. The golden rule, right?
Right. And most people don't follow the golden rule anymore. But I was blown away that night, and there's not a lot of things that scare me, but it definitely put me on edge. I'm like, what? This? I don't understand this, right? And I've never claimed to have any type of abilities.
Right.
I know that I can walk into a haunted place and I can feel something, right?
Right.
I walked in here today, every hair on my body stood up, right? And that's par for the course. But I've been here and I know what's here, but I never, ever expected or dreamed of anything like that.
Yep.
We also went to this place called the Bill Manor in Ohio. And Carlo, the guy that owns it, was taking us through for a tour. And we're walking around, and we get to this one area, and it's a bathroom. And he's like, this is one of, I don't know, 5 bathrooms or whatever's in the house, and blah, blah. He's just talking about it. And he said to the group, and at one point, this was a bedroom. And out of my mouth flies, I remember that. And he looked at me, and he's like, huh? And I'm like, I didn't say that.
I don't remember that.
I didn't say that.
Yeah.
I don't know where that came from. It wasn't me. And he's like, that is amazing. And I'm like, no, that's scary as hell.
That is super scary.
Because I heard myself say it, and everybody just trying to look at me like, how do you remember? I've never been there before.
So you went once. So it sounds like you're very open. You went one step beyond mediumship, and you let a channel happen. So people, they get confused with all the words, and they don't quite understand what the vocabulary means for what we can do as human beings. So a medium, basically, when you're acting as a medium, you're slowing spirit down. You're kind of raising up and trying to meet them halfway, and then relaying the information. When you're doing channeling, you're basically giving up your kind of free will and just letting them speak through you without any filter. So that's what happened. That spirit saw that moment in you and was like, I'm going to speak with him. And I don't know how exactly, I'd be lying to you if I said I knew exactly how that worked, but I don't do it. I've only done it like twice because it is insanely taxing if you do it for any amount of time, like beyond probably what you just experienced.
Well, I can guarantee I didn't do it on purpose.
And it's funny because you were like, I didn't say that. I was doing a reading for a lady over the phone once, and her sister had passed away, and I do my normal thing. I'm like, this is what she looks like. I can see that she passed away from cancer. She's very stubborn, though, and she won't let me pass you any messages. She wants me to channel her instead. And the lady was like, oh my God, please, I just need some closure. And I was like, look, lady, I don't like doing this, but your sister's so stubborn, I'm going to let it happen. But you have to remember, anything that comes out of my mouth in the next 5 to 10 minutes is not me. I was like, you can hear me, I'm not swearing it, because I could feel this lady. I could feel her, she was going to go off. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to let it go. And I closed my eyes, and I just went into that real low meditation space. And about 5 or 6 minutes later, I start coming back to, and I'm trying to fight for my space back. I get it back, and this lady is laughing and crying over the phone. And she was like, that was my sister. That was amazing. I don't know how you did that, but thank you. You gave me the greatest gift of my life. And I was like, I'm really glad that you're so happy. I am so exhausted. I have to clear my calendar for the rest of the day because it literally exhausts me.
Wow.
Well, me anyway, because it's not my mode that I'm used to. But yeah, it sounds like you are very open for those kinds of things. So you may want to lean into that because the reason you might be able to fake, and I don't want to call people fake or inauthentic. Sometimes people have glimmers of this. They have little glimmers, right? And they think that they're going to be able to always do it. But it's the same thing like running, riding a bike, exercising. If you're not continuously flexing those muscles, that psychic muscle, it's not going to be so sharp. And sometimes it happens because it's supposed to. But when you are like, oh, now I'm a medium, you did the right thing. You didn't say that. You're like, this is a weird experience. It happened. It was mediumship. And then from there, you got to practice it. So you might have felt some inauthenticity from those people because they might have been right a couple times because they're sensitive, but they're not working on it. They just want that kind of clout, right? But when people ask me, they're like, so what's your routine? I'm like, well, I meditate 15 to 20 minutes every single day. I take salt showers. I pray to God and I say thank you. And I'm like, I have rituals that I do in order to stay fit as a medium because it's hard work and it's emotionally taxing, right?
Yes.
So, but I find that people who are like able to be like, you're not real. They know that because they're not recognizing what they understand to be authentic and have it. So you understand that they are not where they think they are in their journey yet, and you're just waiting for you to be ready to get there. So you might be ready to get there. It sounds like you're like at that cusp, and everybody's different, so you got to go at your own pace.
I've lately, when we be going to these places for doing an investigation, there's a little spider just coming along. I'll go into a place and I will like become physically sick and have to leave.
Mm-hmm.
The last 2 times,
Yes.
I think the last 2 times, and somebody told me, you've got to close yourself down. I don't know how to do it. I don't know how to open myself up. I don't know how to close myself down.
The last place you actually vomited over and over and over.
We left. We went to this house. I left the house. I was sitting on the porch and being there for like half an hour, and I could feel. I just didn't feel right. We went into the house. I was in about 15 minutes. I had to leave because I felt like I was going to become sick. And as I was leaving, this other girl says to me, "Are you all right?" I'm like, "I don't feel good." She says, "I just told my husband there's something in here that's not sitting right with me." So I'm like, "Okay, it's it's the house." So I went outside. 10 minutes. I was fine. I went back in. We went upstairs. We were there for maybe a half an hour. And I am not a forester. I'm too damn big to get off the floor. I sat on the floor for as long as I could, and I felt like, we are done. I have to get out of here. We left the house, got in the truck, and drove 3 minutes to where we were staying. And when I got out of the truck, I dry heaved for about 10 minutes. I was just
It was bad.
physically sick, and I'm like, I don't know what's going on. A friend of mine she said, I would never call myself a medium. I call myself a seer. And again, I don't know, but she's always been very on. She lives in Florida. And she said to me, you have to close yourself down a little bit. I'm like, I have no idea what that means. But I know that all of a sudden we're going into places and she calls me the ghost magnet, right? Everywhere we go, I get touched, my beard gets pulled.
Yeah, they're trying to get your attention.
I always have a lot of that. One time I was in a
like,
place
you
and my
get this.
pant leg was going like this, and somebody was across from me going, look at your pants. I'm like, I can feel it.
Yeah. So
Tony,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah, I just told him about Tony, Anthony. So, I mean, things like that have been happening. And I guess I could do some research on it and start talking to people about it. But
well, I can give you a super easy exercise because people ask me all the time, how do you turn it on and off? Because they're like, you walk around like seeing ghosts all day? Like, no, you'd go mad. You'd go crazy experience that all day. No. The stronger ones will make themselves known, and I don't have a choice. But for the most part, it's real easy. So do you have a good imagination?
oh,
Yeah, right? Okay. So everybody, if you're watching this, you can do the same thing. Everybody can do this. Super easy. So we're here in Pennsylvania, and there's a lot of old storefronts, right? And you've walked in and out of 100 buildings in your life at least with the come on in, we're open sign and the sorry, we're closed sign, right? You can see that in your head?
oh yeah.
Okay, so when the sorry, we're closed sign is up and you go to pull the door, it's locked, right? And you hear the glass and the whole thing. You're like, oh, I guess I got to wait for my haircut or whatever we're doing in there, right? So in my head, I have that door. It's just a simple brick building, some windows in front of it, and the door. And the door has the sign. It says, sorry, we're closed. And I'm the shopkeeper. So when I want to open up for spirit and it's time to go, I walk up to my little store. I put the key in. I unlock the door. I open it. I'm doing it right now. I'll walk inside and I'll flip the sign over and it says, come on in, we're open. I flip on my lights and it's just kind of an open room. And that's where spirit knows now it's okay. My boundary's down. I've given you permission. You can come in and chat. So that is it's super easy. You can do it. It's like that fast. I just walked you through it slow so you can hear it, but that's all it is. And everybody has different methods, but just imagine, even if it's easier for you to just be like, I close the door and it's closed. And sometimes physically doing that will help your mind know, like, okay, we're closing the door right now. I don't want to feel ghosts. I don't want to feel sick. We're good. And you get to a place and you're like, I want to practice tonight. I'm going to open the door and I just want to get information. So please don't overwhelm me. I'm going to write in my notepad anything and everything that comes to my mind. Write it all down, close it, give it to your partner, your wife, girlfriend?
No, girlfriend.
Okay. Give it to your girlfriend and say, tonight, you're in charge of my notes. Let me know if any of these things ring true in this investigation. See where you go from there.
Kind of what you're doing now.
So I kind of do something like that
You'll
as
be
far
so
as the
surprised.
notes. So when we go someplace we've never been, I sit in the family room, I put on the headphones and I put on the spirit box and I just think about the place. I don't ask questions.
Yep.
I just think about the place and either I or she write down all the words that I hear.
Okay.
And then as we go through, we will find things that may or may not hit. For instance, we went to the DOS, the first time we went to the DOS house, I did this. And this might have been the first time I did this too. I started writing down all these things and when I went back and I read it, there was things that I read that just kind of concerned me. I'm like, that's not good. But one thing I kept going back to was this name was repeated 8 times, 10 times, I don't know.
Okay.
And I kept writing Molly, right?
Okay.
And at one point I write Molly, and then somewhere it'd say that's not my name, and then I hear Molly again, and nope, that's not it. Molly again, and so as we got to the end, and again I said Molly, and it says no, hot, heavy, hard, and I'm like, I don't know what that means. So we got to the DOS house, and Shauna and Danielle weren't there. I can't remember her name. Anyway, one of their sisters or somebody was there to show us through, and I said, "Do these names? Does any of this mean anything to you?" And she's like, "Well, Shauna's mom's name was Holly."
Oh.
And I'm like,
Hot,
"Hot,
heavy,
heavy, hard. You
Right.
stupid ass! Not my name.
H,
Listen to me, right?" And so that to me that was pretty like groundbreaking. And like I'm getting this name, and
Yeah.
you know, if you're listening to a spirit box, you can go, if you can record it, you can go back and what you heard is not even close to what you said, right? If you listen to it later. So you can always mishear things, but I kept mishearing it the same way. And she's like, no, hot, heavy, hard.
Yep. So you
Oh.
get the H, right?
I
Yeah.
get people to walk through this door.
Sideways.
If I can get through there, you can get through there.
No, still, I feel like the door
But yeah,
is
so
always
it's really interesting.
I think I heard it.
And I guess maybe I have a little more of this than I think I do, or
I think you got it.
I don't even know if I want it, right? And
Yeah,
obviously,
that's-
whether you want it or not, you probably got it. I mean, when something came flying out of my mouth that I didn't
I
say,
think that most
you know,
Yeah.
are those.
It's a very unique ability. And you know you get criticized for it too because when you come out and say it, people expect you to be like dead on accurate every time. And I'm like, so I get annoyed when people like talk me up a lot and like, oh my god, you can't wait till Scottie. And I'm like, please don't do that because some days it's not that strong. It's not like that all the time. I have to be feeling physically good, mentally good, spiritually good for it to hit those grand slams. It has to be right? And then sometimes I show up and I'm like,
Do it.
oh, this place is not feeling like it's too haunted today. I don't know why they're. And again, they may not want to talk to me. We might not be in the same space or whatever. However it works, I don't know. But, so you can't feel bad. And when I teach people, I tell them that all the time. I'm like, of course you hear me talking about all the really good ones I do, or the people that follow me will talk about all the really good ones I do. You don't hear about the ground balls. You don't hear about the base hit. You know, like they're still really good, but they're not the amazing stories, right? And people get down on themselves because they're learning, right? And they're like, well, it wasn't that good. I'm like, but you're still doing something that is so far outside the box. You should be proud of yourself that you even got 3 out of 10 to start. Because what happens is, as you start to do this and you start to build some confidence up, your confidence leads to understanding it's okay to be wrong. Because so many times, what I started doing this very early on is, just as a game to test myself, I would sit at my desk before I go do a reading, and I would complete silence and just write anything that came in my head. And it would be like a Zoom meeting. And before the person would even talk, I'd be like, hold on. I'm gonna hold this up and I'm gonna tell you everything before I even called you. I'm gonna show you what I wrote down. And those have been some of the best readings for one reason or another.
That's insane.
Yeah, and it's because I completely trust myself, and when I'm wrong, I'm usually not wrong. What it is I'm interpreting incorrectly, or the information isn't available to that other person yet. I once did a reading for a lady. The phone ones are always so good. There's nothing interfering. Like, I can't see you. Like, it's just our voices, right? So nothing to interfere with my reading. So it's funny because I did this reading for this lady, and she was like, a couple people came through. And she's like, "Oh my God, this is so great, so wonderful." And I was like, "Hold on. There's this really crazy story your mom's telling me, and there's this bottle she keeps showing me. And it's just an ordinary looking bottle, but she's making a huge deal out of it." And the lady's like, "Look, I don't know about any special bottles." And I was like, "It's concealed, I think, but it's important." And she's like, "All right, I guess." So I kind of forgot about it. And like 6 months later, this lady calls me back and she's like, "Do you remember the bottle thing?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I remember talking about that. I was really hung up on it." And she goes, "Okay, so I didn't know this. But what happened was we were at a party at a family barbecue. My mom is the one that was coming through and telling you about the bottle. We were celebrating my sisters, me, and my dad. We're all sitting around a table and we're talking about mom who passed away like 20 years ago. And my dad," she says, "gets up away from the table, goes into his workroom, comes out with his toolbox, puts it on the table, opens the toolbox up, and pulls out this cloth-covered bottle. He opens it, and it's a bottle of melon liqueur. And he said it was his wife's bottle, and he had saved it, and nobody knew. And he said he was waiting for the right day when everybody was sitting together to drink out of his wife's liquor bottle. That she was not a big drinker, but this is what she loved, that she was going to have one. And he saved the bottle. And that woman, at that moment, she was like, "I knew that 6 months ago when I became, that's what you were talking about."
Wow.
Yeah, and nobody knew except for the dad. He saved it. So I was wrong that day, but I wasn't wrong because the information wasn't available yet to everybody. So when people are learning this, we want instant gratification, but you got to know there's two things. One, you're not always going to be 100% right. Nobody is. But two, let your ego take that step back, and you will be so much better than everybody else trying to do it.
Well, and that goes for anything in life.
Let that ego take us. If you're good at something, tell the ego to shut up, put it in the back seat, and just do your thing. And the rest of it will just come naturally. It's the biggest thing that I try to tell people, you know. And it's hard when people are like, "Oh, you build up a social media following," and people are like, "Oh, he's so good." It's like, you guys gotta stop feeding my dick head because it's hard for me to operate doing this when I'm like, you guys are pumping me up. And my wife says all the time, she's like, "We gotta put a pin in your head." I'm like, "Yes, please do, deflate me," because I don't want to lose this. It's so important to me, and I'm always afraid that if I go too far in the wrong direction, I'm gonna lose it. Yep. So it's such an interesting thing to be able to do. So very blessed and privileged to do it. I get to meet people like you. I gotta ask, man, where did nacho come from?
So I used to be a chef.
Okay.
26 years as a chef, and I used to teach people to barbecue.
Awesome.
So I'd have 15, 20 people in my house.
Mm-hmm.
And this particular day, we were just sitting down to eat. And my wife always carried always carried the house phone around with us. Her mom lived like a block away and didn't drive. So mom did anything, she was there. And so this phone was sitting on the table, and it was one of the phones that if you called and nobody answered, the voicemail would pick up and would play through the phone. Mm-hmm. So we're sitting after getting ready to eat, and the phone rings, and everybody goes silent. And I'm like, "Please don't worry about the phone. Just eat your dinner, eat your food, and we'll talk about the food." Well, this automated voice message comes through. "This call is for Bobby Melcho. If you're not Bobby Melcho, press blah, blah, blah," right? My son, who just graduated high school 2 weeks ago, is 18 now. He was 4. He looked down the table at me and he says, "Dad, you Bobby Nacho? Who you hiding from?" And everybody had that exact same response. And all of a sudden, I became Bobby Nacho.
Awesome.
And we all just kind of like laughed it off. Well, I stopped working as a chef and I went to this kitchen store where I was selling cookware and stuff. And they put me on their social media to run the social media. Well, then it kind of like, that's my personal business. And
right.
I had to link my account, and She doesn't need to know my personal business. So
Right.
I linked that account and I opened up a Bobby Nacho account.
Nice.
And for the last 14 years, I've been Bobby Nacho, and now it's just turned into Nacho. My name is Jim, and I can tell you that there's probably 2 people in this entire building know that my name is Jim.
You've actually had people come into the brewery looking for a nacho, and your boss is like, "We don't have a nacho here."
I don't know who's
Who's
Nacho.
And
Nacho?
these are friends that you've known for over a dozen
Yeah.
years,
Yes,
and they're
yes.
like, "I
So
never knew that
nobody
was
knows
your
my name is Jim,
So
and that's
funny.
fine. But everybody just calls me Nacho.
Man, that's a good origin story. So let me ask you this. So you're a chef for 20 years, right? All right, first off, for you and your audience, I'm not allowed near the stove. I could boil water. I could cook some eggs. That's the extent of my culinary experience. Microwave, if I'm lucky. I just don't have it. I don't got the touch, and I think the people who do are super gifted, and thank you because I appreciate it. But the point of the question is, you're a chef. You're thinking about ingredients. You're cooking. You're focused. To create a beautiful, great meal for people that you love, that's an act of kindness. And while you're doing it, you're meditating because you are so focused on this one task that is many tasks at once, right? That's why I stink at it. I have no time management, no ability to do that. So for you to say, like, oh, I don't understand why I have this gift, you were practicing for years and not even understanding you were doing it. Because I'm sure, go into autopilot mode. Like, how many times am I going to make the same chicken? I don't really need to think about it anymore. I just know this is what needs to get done in this amount of time to get it done, right? And you just go and you probably think about your day. Sometimes people you think about memories of people that you love, people who have passed. And those are those moments where the people we love the most, they see us in that meditation space and they come talk to us. So when you are cutting food and when you're cooking and grilling and you just have a moment where your mind wanders and you think about somebody you passed that you love, that's not your imagination. That is their space to say, I see you and we can meet here. And it's something that's so important that people will overlook. And I try to explain it. I'm not special. I've just learned to accept that that's a real place to be. So how do you feel about that?
What you're doing is thinking outside the box, and most of us don't do much of that. And I can see that now. I can definitely see that now.
Think about it, like how much kindness there is to going into making food. The prepper, like all of that is so important. So I think that's probably why you're open to the mediumship, because you lead with your heart first. Cooking wet, I don't know if it's a passion or it's just something that you did, but
My grandparents owned a restaurant.
okay.
So I grew up in it. I went to the military. I was a cook, a medic, and a truck driver in the military. I got out of the culinary school. I moved to Pittsburgh for culinary school, and I did that for years.
Right.
Now I left culinary, and I make beer now.
Awesome.
I make Iron City beers
Cool.
in Pittsburgh. But it's very much cooking. It's still
Recipes, timing,
ingredients, timing,
Yes.
whatever. But it's all. It's been my entire life. Is what.
So, man, it's such a great segue into like the paranormal life. All of your life, I'm sure you have other things you love to do, right? There's other hobbies that you probably have.
Yeah.
Right? So probably all of your experiences in life make you much more approachable as somebody from the other side to come up to, which is what I was talking about earlier. So you say you're also a military guy, right? So that gentleman who came through to talk to you spontaneously probably saw you as a brother, right? Because that's how you and I, we didn't serve at the same time, but if you were like, Scott, I need help, I know, we chewed some dirt, not at the same time, but we did it, I got you, right? So who am I going to talk to? Am I going to talk to the housewife who's a medium, or am I going to come and wait for my opportunity for you who's going to get that message that I got, right? Probably you. And the housewife is perfect because there's spirits that are going to feel more comfortable with her than me. And something I'm going to talk about here in a couple minutes, in my talk downstairs, and I'll let you go, is my day job is police officer. So when I started
There's a lot of police officers here. You're at least the third one.
Yeah, we listen.
That's awesome.
Yeah, you talked to Ernie and Chris this year.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're all
Yeah.
all different walks.
And thank you for that. Thank you for what you do.
I love it. I love it. It's a part of my heart.
I don't know how you can do it, but I give you all the credit in the world because people are nasty.
They are, but it's okay because that's how I get through it all. So, oh, now I don't remember what I was going to say to you. So, so the military. Oh, so being I don't remember where I was going to go, but yeah, always be. Oh, yeah, I was going to tell you something about the police work in the medium shift. I thought was really neat. Would have played into. Okay, so. When I started doing medium shifts, I'd sit with people. I was practicing, right? I wouldn't charge anything. I'd be like, can I come sit at your house for an hour and see like what would come through, right? So I noticed that I would have a really tough time with, like, there'd be like, I could see a younger person and I could see that they had hard times, but they would refuse to talk to me. And one of these days, another one of my little voices was like, hey, they have a lot of problems with law enforcement in their life. Maybe you should just let them know that you're not like the other ones, and they will probably open up to you. So the first time I did that, I was like, I said to the lady, I was like, listen, did your son have a lot of problems with like drugs and the cops? And she was like, yes. And I was like, all right, full disclosure, this is what I do for my regular job. Oh, so I said out loud, I remember I was in this lady's living room. I said, listen, I'm not going to judge you. Your life is your life. I don't have any judgment on it. I just want to help your mom feel better, and if you need it too, right? Like that. It just opened that gate up, and from there on, no more problems. They just were like, oh, I don't talk to these people because they were always trouble for me in life. And once you like say like it's not a problem, I'm not going to judge you. I'm not here to judge you. It's not my job. I'm just here to listen. That went away. It melted, and it opened up because now I can walk into places like this prison where I've talked to some really gnarly souls that did really crazy bad things in their life, and changed a lot about me. So, think about your journey and how you're opening and developing as a medium, and all the people you can help because of the life you've lived already. And how many people on the other side are just waiting for a chance to talk to non-Jesus. You got a cool nickname, you've done all these other amazing things, and they're going to find something, an experience in you that they can relate to and help you pass the message.
All right, you got me intrigued for sure.
Right?
One more thing.
Yes,
Do you get anything at all from Molly?
Am I okay to touch her?
Yes, as I said, you can pick her up if you like.
Molly, I'm going to pick you up, okay? Thanks, young lady.
The boys and our dolls.
So that's one of our haunted dolls, Molly. So we're not wanting.
Interestingly enough, we've been talking a lot about healing, and for me, this doesn't feel super haunted in a kind of negative way. I heard that it's like I help to make people feel better, is what I feel when I hold her. And she makes me feel like she got carried around by a child who was in a very unsafe environment for a long time, experienced trauma. And this was like the anchor.
We're gonna go pick up some blocks.
Right? So there's a lot of love, a lot of anxiety, but it's not anxiety to be negative. It was like,
27
why do you have
in the
something
house.
like this the whole time, right? And that's the feeling.
Love you, brother.
She gives me sorrow, and maybe that's the person that she is. The first time I really picked her up and held her, talked to her, and I'm not a crier. Now, Santiago had me sitting here bawling like a baby, but I'm not a crier. But I held her and I wanted to cry. And I met a guy a couple weeks ago in West Virginia, and I asked him to hold her, and he just immediately broke into
I
tears.
could feel it. It's coming from right here in that heart, and that's what I felt like.
She wants. I thought maybe she wants the love, but I think maybe she wants to give the love. She wants to be the
That's her
hero.
job.
Now, she's had a rough life. I mean, something is eating her shoes. She's been torn here. She's torn here. And I don't think she's had the best life over the last few years. She doesn't. I pack up all the stuff and put her in the box so nothing happens to her. She doesn't like that. And she understands it. But I get a lot of sense, and she sits in the meets. We have 4 dolls right now. She to me is the strongest one of them, and she actually
from the
when
other
we
side
was
of
in
the
Sutton,
room.
we got another
You know, you
doll.
have to be at
And the
work at
lady-
3:30 a.m.
We gave it to her. Said, I don't think she's haunted or anything. I just put her next to her. She told me the doll's name, Patty.
Okay.
And I said, well, what are you thinking of Patty? And she said, except over the spirit box. She said, acceptable.
Okay.
So I mean, she is clearly the ringleader, but she's very, to me, soft-spoken,
Very,
Yeah.
and
Very kind.
I just get a lot of sadness out of her, and I want to help her not feel sad. And this is why I'm bringing her. I don't bring any of my other dolls around. I'm bringing her around because I want her to be able to enjoy other people and for other people to enjoy her.
I think I'm doing a great job.
So that means
Yeah, that's a great job. Hey, thank you for having me sit
Thank
with you.
you
I
so
appreciate
much.
it. It was really nice hanging out and talking with you.
My
I love being
pleasure.
able to sit and chat with people. It's wonderful.
yes,
Thank
it's
you.
all about the history.
thank you so much.
History is my
And
big
maybe we can
thing.
do these podcast things.
Keep going, man.
And I want this.
You're doing a good job. Thank you for the gifts. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I'm going to be wearing this for my next live.
So my sister makes all my t-shirts.
Okay.
She made this shirt. She made our tablecloth. I mean, my sister's very talented when it comes to stuff. So
Nice.
Yeah, his sister is awesome.
She does just a lot of stuff.
Thank you
And
very
then
much.
his
I appreciate it.
86-year-old.
I will see you guys soon.
Absolutely, we're gonna stock out.
You're up next.